So much time and effort gets spent preparing for the technical round of the interview process. But the truth of the matter is, to even get your chance to show off your technical skills, you have to first impress the technical recruiters. So the goal for this video is to cover the most common questions that recruiters typically ask during the interview process. So let's get into it. Woo! So the first question is, tell me about yourself. Now I think the most important thing that I can say about this particular question is, when a recruiter is giving you the chance to talk about yourself, they don't actually care about your life story. Instead, what they want to hear is, they want to hear about your technical background. So for example, if I'm asked this question, here's how I might answer this question. So I'm a full stack developer with about 4.5 years of experience. I have primarily throughout my career worked with JavaScript both on the front end as well as on the back end using Node with MySQL. I've also used MongoDB. I'm pretty comfortable with AWS such as AWS DynamoDB, AWS Cognito, AWS Lambda, as well as API Gateway. And in my current role, I'm actually the tech lead of a project where we're working with .NET Core on the back end, as well as React and TypeScript on the front end. So now with that quick little answer, I've given them everything that they need to know about my technical background as it relates to the role that they might be trying to hire me for. So the next question is, why do you want to leave your current role? Now the most important thing that I can say about this particular question is, under no circumstances should you speak poorly about your current place of employment. So for example, even if the reason why you might want to leave your current job is because you have a really toxic work environment, don't speak about that. That is nobody else's business but your own. When you actually speak poorly about your current place of employment, it's a really unprofessional look and can honestly get you insta rejected, so it's just not worth it. Don't do it. Instead, focus on other aspects as to why you might want to leave your current place of employment. For example, let's say the new place might be offering you the chance to work with a certain technology that you've always wanted to have the chance to work with, and your current company is not actually trying to use that technology. For example, let's say your current company is using Angular 1.x or whatever it is, and the new place might be using React, and you've always wanted to have the chance to use React professionally. Well, now you have your answer. See, now you can actually give them an answer that is a valid answer. It doesn't actually talk poorly about your current place of employment, and most importantly, it shows that you're interested and willing to learn new things, which is always a great thing to kind of indicate to a recruiter, as you already know from my last video. So the point is, when it comes to this question, don't talk poorly about your current place of employment. Instead, try to focus on things that the new place might be offering that your current place doesn't actually offer right now, and use those as the reasons why you might want to leave and join the new place. So the next question is, what are your salary expectations? And here's how I like to approach this question. Typically, what I'll do is I'll first go to like Stack Overflow salary calculator, or maybe hired calculator, and then based on my sort of level of experience and the technology that I'm kind of comfortable with, I'll get a sort of baseline number of how much I'm personally worth on the market right now, given my skill set. Once I now have that number, what I can now do is I can go back to the recruiter and give them a range. So for example, if let's say based on these salary calculators, I've now determined that I'm worth on the market about $100,000 a year, I can now say that, you know what, I would like to earn somewhere between $100,000 a year and $135,000 a year. Now this will basically achieve two things. Number one, it ensures that I won't get less than I'm currently worth on the market value, because if I'm asking for a low of $100,000 a year, if a company is actually willing to play ball with me, they're not going to give me less than I've asked for. They may say that, you know what, my range is too high, in which case no harm, no foul, but if they decide to actually give me an offer, they're not going to actually offer me less than my market value. The other thing that's very important about what this particular answer achieves is the fact that it actually gives the company a range of numbers to kind of play with. See, one of the things they want to make sure that you avoid is you want to make sure that you don't actually give the company some kind of hard number, some kind of steadfast number, because what now that's going to do, that's going to indicate that you're not willing to negotiate and there's kind of no room to play, which makes the company have a very hard time kind of deciding about what number to kind of offer you, because if you say you only want $125,000 a year and there's no wiggle room, now they feel like they're not going to actually be able to negotiate with you and kind of play with the numbers, which makes them feel very restricted. So instead, you want to make sure that you kind of offer them a range, but the key point is, armed with the knowledge that you now have of these salary calculators, you can make sure that the lowest end of your range is still going to be a number that you are in fact worth on the market, making sure that you're still happy with actually getting that as a salary. Now I should also point out that based on my own anecdotal evidence, based on my own experience so far, which of course means your mileage may vary, but I should still point out that in my experience so far, no company has ever actually offered me the lower end of my range. Instead, I've typically been offered the sort of higher end of my range, and in one instance I've even been offered more than the highest number of my range. Now if you think about it, this kind of makes sense, because us as programmers, we're kind of scarce and we're in pretty high demand. So when a company finally finds a programmer that they like, a candidate that they really like, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to make sure that this candidate actually wants to come aboard. And so one of the ways that they can achieve this is by sweetening the deal, which of course includes giving you the sort of better salary package based on the higher number of your range. Finally, the last question is, what are you looking for in your next role? Now the truth of the matter is, depending on how you've already answered the question of like why you want to leave your current role, you might have already somewhat answered this question, but nonetheless, I want to just kind of point out some important key factors about this particular question. And the most important thing that I would say that you want to try to focus on this particular question is, make sure that your answers are kind of growth-minded and learning and growing oriented. And what I mean by that is, some good examples as to what you might be able to answer for this question might be along the lines of like, you know what, you want to have more responsibility, you want to solve more complicated problems, you want to learn new technologies, you want to become more of a senior developer, maybe you want to be a tech lead, maybe you want to be a manager. But the point is, all of those examples have one thing in common. They're all kind of growth and learning oriented. Essentially, what you're trying to show here is that you're trying to show that you're ambitious, eager to learn, and willing to grow, and that you want to become the best developer that you can absolutely be, and you feel like that actually taking this opportunity with with this company might help you get there. Because as you already know, that eagerness to learn, that willingness to grow, that's one of the most important signals that you want to show those recruiters, because that's going to make sure that they want to take you as a candidate to move on to the next round, as opposed to the other guys who are basically just showing that they want to take a lateral step. Make sure that your answers are focused on learning, growing, and leveling up, because as I've already said, that's going to take you very far in the interviewing process. Well, anyways, that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please drop a like. It really helps the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.